morning. It's a particular pleasure to welcome this morning's chapel speaker, Kari McKinley, back home to Kiniya. Camper number 19231, Kari was born and raised in Westport, New York, in the Adirondacks, and today works as a pediatric nurse practitioner at Upper Valley Pediatrics in Bradford, Vermont, just about 85 miles and several mountains east of here. In between, she has dedicated over a decade of her life to camp, first working at Dudley in their rock climbing and outdoors program, then starting in 2007 in leadership training here at Kiniya. During those Kiniya years, Kari served as D-head of the senior village, mentor to the aides through leaders, and most recently as our camp nurse in 2013. How does a young woman emerge from Westport, New York and become a nurse practitioner? Following high school, Kari headed north to Montreal, where she graduated from McGill University with a degree in biology in 2008. While there, she focused on laboratory research in developmental genetics. As she said, "While I loved fundamental science, it was working with children and families that gave me the greatest satisfaction." To fulfill that passion, Kari went on to complete an accelerated registered nurse master's of science in nursing in the nursing program in 2013 at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut, one of the best in the country. Kari then moved to Burlington, Vermont, where she worked as a medical assistant at a pediatric primary care clinic. 2 years ago, she joined Upper Valley Pediatrics, where she works with a great team of nurses and doctors to provide medical care to young people and their families. It is safe to say that the other fellow first is a guiding principle for Kari. About 8 years ago, after returning from a semester in South Africa, Kari gave a morning chapel talk here on Ubuntu. Some of you may remember it or have heard that word. Said Kari, most simply it means humanness, an ideal of how people should interact, supporting and working for one another. With this comes the notion that you are yourself because of other people. You become who you are because of those around you. Kari still finds time for fun, including road biking, telemark skiing in the winter, knitting, dancing, outdoor adventures, spending time with family and friends, and trying new activities. So please join me in a big welcome home greeting for Kari McKinley.
Good morning, ladies. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I feel so honored to be back. So today I'm going to talk about music, which for me is one of the great joys of life. Raise your hand if you love singing. A lot of you, more than half, I think. There's something about the way that music can create such a wide range of emotion within us. It can make us dance and sing at the top of our lungs, nothing like a good old rendition of Party in USA, or Don't Stop Believin'. It can make us sit and think. It can cause us to just rock back and forth, getting our slow chair groove on. It can empower us politically. It can allow us to forget about everything else in the world. And at the same time, it can make us remember people and places that are far away. I can think of very few things that have a kind of power and utility. Camp is one of those places where we feel the power of music. What I wouldn't give to have lunch and dinner at the dining hall every day of my life. Who doesn't love mealtime singing, especially 90-degree Father Abraham? Or breaking into song while waiting for the Saturday night show? Or hearing Clara Danneman rap? And the greatest part of camp is that everyone can sing. Doesn't matter how tone deaf you are, I'm not naming any names. You can belt it out here at camp without feeling a bit of shame. Of all the music we sing, I think I can say without argument that the most powerful is that hour every Sunday evening when we come together to sing at the top of our lungs and then transition into a period of calm and reflection. And that's the music I'd like to talk about today. Our most magical of traditions, hymn sing. And even more specifically, the final five. These are songs that have been very important to me over the years. They also hold deep meaning to many of our friends who may not have the good fortune of being able to come to camp anymore. And when I decided to talk about this topic, I wrote to some of those friends to ask them about their experiences with the final five. So you'll hear some of their names and thoughts as well. So the first hymn I wanted to talk about is You'll Never Walk Alone, which I realize that this isn't the first song that you guys sing in your final five today. But I grew up going to hymn sing at Dudley first, and so for me it always starts with this one. So how many of you have ever felt lonely? Maybe not physically lonely, but maybe you were having a rough day and felt so alone in that feeling that like no one else could get that. We all have those days. For me, as an adult, I have those feelings fairly frequently because of the responsibility that comes with being an adult. There's difficult decisions to make every day, whether it's at work or with finances, what will happen in the future, the loss of people. When these tough moments and days come, this song becomes my mantra. As I sing it or hum it to myself, the calm that comes over me is palpable, meaning someone standing close to me could physically feel the relief if they tried. You all are not adults, but you will still have tough days, right? Maybe you've lost a pet. Maybe you've lost that all-important iPod. Maybe you bickered with a friend. Maybe you just woke up and you were sad for no clear reason. When you have those moments, you too can sing this song to yourself and feel that relief as the weight is lifted from you. Our friend Nick Ansell wrote from South Africa about how I'll Never Walk Alone resonated with him after feeling the loss of his camp family when he returned to South Africa. He told me that he sent an email to some camp friends, thinking he'd go visit one or two of them in Europe in order to cure some of his camp sickness. Well, with that message, he reconnected not with one or two friends, but with 17 people throughout Europe. Nicholas wrote of this experience, "It speaks volumes to the song You'll Never Walk Alone. As I initially felt alone in leaving my second home, I am now fully aware that I'm actually never alone, no matter where I am in the world." So whether you're physically alone or feeling emotionally isolated, remember this song, its melody, the feeling of singing it at the end of an amazing camp week. Hum it or sing it to yourself, and you'll feel the calm settle in, knowing that you're never truly alone once you join the Kiniya Dudley family. Feeling lonely sometimes requires finding a larger power and force than people can provide. Music is one of those things, but sometimes music alone isn't enough. And this brings me to the next hymn, One Light. When I sing and hear this song, my mind goes beyond humans and pulls me into a more spiritual place. This song typifies hymn sing for me. This sentence may be a bit of a shocker since I'm speaking at chapel, but I've never been a particularly religious person. I was baptized Episcopalian and my great-grandfather was a minister, but I never connected to Christianity and this idea of God with a capital G who brings to my mind an old man with flowing robes floating in the clouds. It just never seemed real to me. Maybe it was my scientific contrarian mind. Thanks, Dad. But being without religion can be really hard and pretty tough. What do you turn to when you're searching for bigger answers? Or what helps you through the toughest times when you need to have faith in something bigger than yourself? As I spent summers going to chapel at Dudley, I noticed I felt different when I was there compared to when I was at church. There was an energy there that made me feel like there was something bigger. And over the years I spent working at Dudley and Kiniya, I came to learn that two concepts that I originally thought were interchangeable are actually, despite their similarities, quite different. And these ideas are religion and spirituality. Religion is, and I'm quoting our old pal Merriam-Webster, an organized system of beliefs, ceremonies, and rules used to worship a god or a group of gods. Spirituality, on the other hand, can be of or relating to religion or religious beliefs, but it can also mean of or relating to a person's spirit, or having similar values and ideas, related and joined in spirit. So being spiritual means connecting to something and feeling the power that influences your inner being. For me, I believe in this. I believe in nature. I believe in the other fellow first. I believe in connecting with people. I believe in a too. And I love how the song One Light is symbolic of that. You have the one light, which to me represents nature, and then speaks of one Lord, which symbolizes religion. It can be understood by people with different beliefs. At camp, we can all sit together and sing beautiful songs that may or may not be religious to either us or to the group as a whole, but we are connected on such a spiritual level. It's an amazing thing. It also means to me that just because we sing songs that may speak of God or Lord or Jesus or Christians, this is only one religion, and there are so many. And at camp, you can be Christian, you can be Jewish, you can be Buddhist or Muslim or agnostic or atheist. You are still welcome, and you are still an equal member of our group, because what we all believe in is helping each other out. I always have a little trouble telling some of my non-Christian friends about hymn sing, but then I say you just have to experience it. The lyrics may mean different things for different people, but the energy is what matters. The energy is what makes it not a religious experience, but a spiritual experience. And I hope you can leave camp and remember this hymn and are able to spread our belief of the other fellow first, a belief that can unite people from all religious and spiritual backgrounds. One of my mentors in coming to this understanding and this journey on spirituality was Dave Langston, who you may know as Link. And I consulted him a little bit about my chapel talk as well. A few fun facts that I learned. One Light is an original Dudley song, and Langfu was the first person to sing it on the Dudley stage back in 1974. For him, One Light has a different meaning than it does for me because of this experience. According to Langfu, vocals were not his strength during his youth, but he fell in love with the lyrics and the tune of One Light. So rather than letting the fact that he may not be the best singer keep him from getting up on stage, Langfu took it upon himself, with the encouragement of his mentor, to practice and mess up and practice more. That hard work allowed him to perform this memorable, powerful piece in front of the Dudley boys. And now he has a memory and connection with that song that he could have just let pass him by because singing wasn't his strength. For him, the song represents opportunity and how fortunate we are to have so many of these opportunities thanks to those who come before us. When he hears it, he also recalls the leaders who helped him along his way, both during his One Light solo, but also through his years at camp and beyond. Leaders, what may seem like a small feat to you can mean the world to the camper you're helping get there. I loved when Langfu sent me the email about One Light, and I was thinking, wow, we have totally different experiences with this song. And maybe that's true among your friends here. After chapel, I certainly encourage you to share your stories with each other, and I too would love to hear what you have to say about these hymns. The third hymn is Climb Every Mountain. With this hymn, there's the obvious message of working hard to get to your happy place, to reach your dreams. But we're going to talk about another meaning it has for me. I was talking just a minute ago about how small feats for leaders are often challenges for campers. Well, my friend, who used to work here and ran the outdoors department, Bethany Silva, for her, climbing mountains was that achievement, that feat. For Bethany, motivating campers up the Green Mountains was where she felt most inspired to be a leader. Bethany wrote to me about how Climb Every Mountain is a reminder that although she was a seasoned hiker long before working at Kiniya, it was coming here and planning trips for you all that gave her the insight into the power of hiking and adventuring in the outdoors. It was seeing the mountains through the eyes of campers that allowed her to see how the challenges, perseverance, and stewardship allowed her to put the other fellow first. When Bethany wrote to me and used the word stewardship, it reminded me of the set of core values that Kiniya has. It's a great word that I don't hear often enough. Does anyone here know the definition of stewardship? I knew what it meant. I had to look it up, though, to get the real definition. So it's the activity or job of protecting and being responsible for something. the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. Nature and its resources it provides are our responsibility. We can no longer live on this planet and consume without considering the effects that consumption has on Mother Nature. Being at camp, living in a space where we respect the land, enjoying the benefits of environmental recreation through our outdoors program, allows you all a unique perspective on how important it is to protect the earth. You'll return home next week, many of you to the suburbs or the cities where there's an abundance of concrete, malls, man-made materials all around you. By recalling the hymn, Climb Every Mountain, I hope you are able to look at your day-to-day life in society and pick out some areas in which you may not be living as responsibly as you could be when it comes to protecting our natural resources. Remember the definition of stewardship and make minor adjustments so you can live up to that responsibility. You will be living the other fellow first, with the other fellow being both future generations and Mother Nature herself. It's possible saving the environment will be the dream some of you are searching for. Despite being the wonderful people I know you all are, it is without a doubt that we will all have times when we veer from the core set of values we've developed at camp. We will have days where we make decisions that we regret. We may have a disagreement with loved ones. We may not put the other fellow first. We may not be as environmentally conscious as we'd like. The fact is, you can't grow and become a better person if you don't have those moments. During these periods, remember the final hymn we sing at camp, Now the Day is Over. It can serve as a reminder to you that every day is a new day. And in the most literal interpretation, when you go to sleep and wake up again, you are given a new day. And with a new day, there are new beginnings. Then may I arise, pure and fresh and sinless. If only that were the case, but to be fair, you will arise, and when you do, you can learn from the mistakes you made in the previous days, and in that sense, you are more pure and fresh and sinless. Progress is the important part here. And the fact is that progress isn't always a clean process. But you have to be forgiving to yourself and take away lessons from days that don't go well. This will help you be a leader as well. The best leaders don't try to prevent their mentees from making mistakes, but rather help them take away meaning from these errors. The times of reflection you're allotted at camp, like hymn sing and vespers, help in these processes. At home, we don't get these scheduled moments. Perhaps being at camp and having these experiences will encourage you to set aside time for yourself at the end of a busy, stressful day, to think back on all that occurred, so you can wake the next day not thinking of how difficult yesterday was, but instead with new goals and a fresh perspective. One idea that I'm going to borrow from our dear friend Bear, aka Sarah McDonough, who used to direct hymn sing, here. Bear is living in Washington, D.C., where there is a large contingent of Kiniya and Dudley folk. And she recently told me she's been trying to call me because she wanted me to make a guest appearance over the phone for Study War No More during their monthly hymn sings. My immediate response was envy. They're having a hymn sing every month of the year. My second thought was, why don't more people do this? So, if you live near a group of camp friends, or you can Skype with a bunch of people from camp at once, hold a hymn sing or a vesper and give yourself some time at the end of the day to reflect, just like we do here. Speaking of Bear, that brings me to the last hymn, 'Neath the Pines, which is extremely special to me because of the writer. This song not only represents camp as a whole so perfectly, but it's also an inspiration. I'm sure that if we could bring back the Bear who was with us her first year at Kiniya, she never would have predicted she'd write a song that will forever be a part of camp. Yet her love for music and camp, along with her talents for piano, allowed her to compose this precious song. This song represents the opportunity camp provides for young children and young adults to leave their mark. That's you guys. Let it also be a reminder of the home you always have, even if you're feeling lost or having trouble fitting in elsewhere. Nick wrote to me that the recurrence of the word home in this song is apt, as there are few places where you can feel connected and supported by so many people, with no thought paid to differences like income, culture, religion, and other social divisions that are so often evident outside of camp. Meet the Pines is a memento of the second home that will always be here for you. My cousin Willa, who works at Dudley and who's here today with us, she said, and I quote, "What stands out to me most about the Final Five is the transcendent nature of such a thing." What I mean, this is Willa talking, by this is that no matter when you went to camp, what you did at camp, or who you met, you will always know the Final Five. By being a member of the Kiniya and Dudley family, you are now connected with thousands of other people. And it's true, our experiences will all be completely different. But what we have in common is this wonderful tradition of music. We all share the Final Five and the ideals they represent. We are here for each other. We accept all kinds of people from different religions and cultures. We are stewards of our earth. We all make mistakes, but we can learn and grow from them. And as leaders, we help others in this process as well. And we will always have this beautiful place to create new friends and memories. Enjoy your last week at camp and sing your hearts out.